she's not looking. Only 15 yards. Here's my chance. Son of a...
How's it going, guys? Ethan here. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I just wanted to impromptu do a little bit of confession on my recent failures so far this season, and hopefully give you guys a couple pointers and things that you need to focus on that I collectively believe has been some of the greatest mistakes and caused me most of my problems while deer hunting. The very first one that I want to talk about, and it's the biggest point of this whole video, is picking your spot. I don't care how many years that I bow hunt, I will probably not pick a spot on a deer that I shoot at least once every year. I think I'm just doomed and destined to be that way. But the reason I say that is I got an opportunity this morning at a nice mature doe. She fed in front of me at 15 yards facing me. I had no shot, and when she turned to start walking off, by the time I got her stopped to take a shot, she was already 18 yards. And for those of you guys who've watched my past videos, you know that my maximum shot distance that I've attempted to set for myself and really trying to enforce is 15 yards, because inside of 15 yards I feel like I can't miss. But as soon as you start pressing out there much past 15, you know, it's a few feet and you're 18-20 yards. I aimed for the Vital V because, again, just slight quartering. I shot 6 inches forward and took a bunch of hair off of her brisket, and she ran away mostly unscathed, minus a few hairs. I didn't pick my spot well enough, as the moral of the story. If I had picked a specific tuft of hair, which is hard to do, and I think that is another reason I want to make this video, is on this deer, I have a worn spot right here already, and I've only had this deer for a month. I've already got a worn spot right here where I like to shoot at, the lower third of the Vital V. A deer doesn't have a worn spot. A deer, let's be honest, does not always have a tuft of hair or a specific thing for you to pick out and aim at. A lot of times that deer is just a slick brown canvas, and it's really hard to pinpoint that little specific thing that you're wanting to shoot at. So for those of us that are so used to looking at something to shoot at and shooting at it, whenever it comes time to shoot at that deer that's just a blank canvas, I think it's hard. I think it causes more problems than you think. Those bad shots that you're making is maybe not so much that you're a bad shot, it's that it's tough to pick a spot on something that you can't pick a spot on. You know, it's too plain, it's too blank, and it helps to shoot at blank faces, like, you know, this backstop over here. Granted, I have my little torn spot with orange tape in it, but if you completely just put a blank space or a white sheet of paper and say that I want to hit in that quadrant-ish of that white sheet of paper and practice at shooting blank things, maybe that would help. But I know for me personally, I reference off of the legs, and that's what helps me, is I pick my spot and I reference off the legs of the deer on lining up my shot. And in this situation, that front leg I think was just a little bit forward, and so even though I had my arrow right on the bottom portion of that leg of that deer, which I know for me, that is center mass, and the height was perfect, I just pulled my shot slightly off, and that's all that it took. So there's little things like that you can do, but if you struggle with picking a spot like I do at times, and you're trying to shoot at a deer that's on the edge of your capabilities, of even your comfortable range, 15 yards is a long way to shoot at a blank canvas target with no specific aim point. Unless it's 10 yards and in, I'm going to start focusing a little bit further back rather than shooting at the Vital V. The Vital V has been completely successful for me on the shots that I've connected on. Vital V is incredible. If you compound guys out there, there's no reason not to shoot for it. But for me, I think on those shots that are a little bit past my capabilities, I am going to be shifting my my preferred shot placement back about 4 inches to about the middle-ish of the lungs, because what that does is it allows more variability. If I'm struggling to pick a spot, and so I know at that point, by just knowing me, that I struggle to pick a spot, and I therefore am more likely to be a little bit more inaccurate and, you know, shoot on the edges rather than shooting at a, you know, a pinpoint location, aiming, you know, lower third still to allow for a drop and just a touch back would cover a multitude of problems. And if I had done that over the years, I probably would have shot quite a few more deer and harvested them. Because if you aim just a little bit back off that crease, about 3 inches, 4 inches, that lets you shoot a whole just about 6 inches forward, and you can take out the front of the lungs right in the vital V, or a whole 6 inches back and you're shooting the liver, which is a dead deer inside of, you know, no time. That deer is going to bleed out just fine. Especially if you clip that diaphragm, you have a dead deer relatively quickly. So if the moral of the story is, if you struggle like I do with picking a spot on a completely blank deer, that there's no tufts of hair, there's no dark patches, something that doesn't really grab your eye to shoot at, start pulling those shots maybe just a little bit further back, not way back here in the middle of the deer, because you do not want to get into guts. Just back up off that crease a couple inches to give yourself that smudge room left and right. And I've just, like I said, for me, that would have probably tagged me a few more deer over the years, and I think that'll help you guys as well. So anyway, guys, that's all I had for this video. Thanks for watching. Practice on picking that spot, practice on shooting at some blank face targets to get used to it and giving yourself something to imagine to shoot at, and shoot straight, guys, and keep your broadheads sharp.